So, for the context of any future viewers, it needs to be stated that it has been about 2 months since the last episode of the HLX files. Within that time, a lot has happened in my personal life, and I am also quite sick, so please excuse the difference in my voice. Right as I was setting up the microphone to record this video, a backend update was pushed for Steam, and sadly it's Bradley caught this. This is the codenamed Ibex controller, the thing that we've been talking about for years. Imagine a Steam Deck without a screen, and that's a controller. This is one of the things that will be released alongside the Steam Frame, Valve's next big VR headset. And the announcement of that seems to be very close, like within weeks. This doesn't mean they're going to be announcing HLX, but when they first announced and revealed the Valve Index, they also announced that they were working on a flagship VR title. Now, HLX is not a VR title, so why would they even bother mentioning? Well, most likely due to whatever ends up happening with HLX. When it is out, it will be taking advantage of some of the features that the Steam Frame is being sold to do, such as being able to play all of your Steam library within a very large virtual theater experience, complete with depth added into the image, like if it was a 3D television. That's all well and good, but all of this has nothing to do with what I was wanting to talk about today. This literally, like minutes ago, just hit the internet. So that's very exciting, but let's move on to what we're supposed to talk about. And this video is sponsored by boot.dev. I get asked a lot how I learn everything about game development, modding tools, and just how stuff works. Truth is, most of it was trial and error, but if something like boot.dev existed back then, I would have saved myself years of headache. Boot.dev is a hands-on, story-driven platform that actually teaches back-end development by having you build real systems. Not just watch videos, you're writing code, solving problems, and watching yourself get better every day. It's got a full learning path for Python, Go, and JavaScript, all wrapped up in a design that feels like a game instead of a lecture. If you ever wanted to break into programming or just understand how the stuff we talk about on this channel actually works under the hood, this is the best place to start. Head to boot.dev/Tyler McVicker or click the link in the description below to start learning for free. For this video, we're going to go back and forth between good news and hoax. On-destructible hit group damage level changed. A string that at one point read on-destructible part damage level change. Damage parts are now being called damage hit groups. This has to do with the damage type that a model is receiving, reacting to that damage type, and dynamically deforming or destructing in a way that reacts to it realistically. This is also most likely associated with the critical damage percentage, the percent chance of dealing critical damage which destroys the damage level regardless of damage pass-through type, as well as headshot damage being seen as a damage type unrelated to how Counter-Strike 2 deals with hit groups and headshots. HLX will have headshots, and damage groups will have to do with the different parts of the model. Unlike CS2, where damage groups are pretty much always on a bipedal humanoid model, you're always facing against a person, hit groups in HLX need to be more dynamic. They need to be allocated to many different forms of models, and the system needs to be more robust than just the types of hit groups that are expected when you're only facing humanoid enemies. Obviously, HLX has humanoid enemies, but it will also have Zen gorillas. Is it a gorilla? No, it's like a tentacle beast, but it's Zen gorillas. The Game Awards Twitter account has been tweeting, "What's your dream game sequel announcement?" and "What's your dream world premiere at the Game Awards this year on December 11th?" The top responses in both, exactly what you think. Are they baiting? Are they trying to get people excited or hint, nudge, nudge towards the big thing happening? No. Look, it's always possible that they could show it at Jeff's thing. No. Almost certainly, no. They're going to announce the thing in a tweet. They're just going to announce it themselves. No, it won't be at the Game Awards. Do not get your hopes up for the Game Awards. Re-entrant call to see resource system block until manifest loaded while already in frame update. Re-entrant call to see resource system frame update. These are resource cleanup strings. This is an optimization pass function. This is a late stage development function. The specifics are not important. This is for cleaning up resources. This is an automated process added within the game engine to clean up system resources. Late game development stuff. Interesting. Remember when this happened? So on 4chan, somebody claims to have a bunch of concept art for the next Half-Life game. This is all AI generated. It is fake. None of what is here makes any sense if we were talking about actual concept art for an in-development project. You have to remember, concept art is not made to have something pretty to look at. Concept art is a functional part of development. It is always made with some kind of task in mind. For example, this hairstyle variant sheet, makes no sense. The differences are so minute that there is no reason to have these differences listed right next to each other. This is almost certainly a combination of traceovers mixed with AI-generated nonsense. None of what's here makes any sense to be art for HLX. Now, the idea of old versions of the characters being... Look, people are claiming that this lines up with things that have quote-unquote leaked over the years, and you know me, I don't report on story spoilers at all. But just know that's just... It's all bullshit. But just because something like this is fake, just because hoaxes are occurring, does not reduce the chances of the game crossing the finish line or prove that the game never existed in the first place. I'm seeing a lot of doomer-type behavior in the community anytime something is seen as a hoax. Just because the community is pulling hoaxes doesn't mean that Valve has changed or shifted in any capacity. They're two different things, they don't affect each other. Impulse wind speed when wind is true. C per particle float input m_FL wind speed. Impulse wobble radius. C per particle float input m_FL wobble. Impulse is wind. Boolean m_B is radial wind. This is asynchronous particle simulation. This is not only computing particles interfacing with the simulated wind speed, but it also allows that wind speed to adjust how the particles specifically react on a case-by-case basis. When I say it's asynchronous, that means that the particles are allowed to be simulated separately, but still as a group. And those particles can then affect each other, as well as affect the wind itself. Absorption is not something we've discussed much about on this channel because it's not super interesting, and also is something that could easily confuse people watching. Part of the surface properties system, which we have discussed at length, the thing that allows different types of materials to react to stimuli in different ways, such as wood and oil reacting differently than metal and oil, its flammability, how much it could possibly hold based on its porous nature, etc., etc. These are things that the game will be simulating. However, when you see absorption coefficients within the code, we're not talking about liquid or material absorption. We're talking about sound absorption. Effectively, the dampening nature that a different type of material can have on sound waves. What we're seeing here is a further optimization step within the simulation of sound waves and how it interfaces with different parts of the environment. Before, separate surface attributes had to be placed based on the frequency of the audio spectrum, meaning if it's a high frequency, mid-range frequency, or low frequency sound wave, the simulation system would treat the surface properties differently. All of this has been refactored into a singular thing. Sound absorption, sound scattering, and sound transmission based on the material properties that exist within the world are all being simulated, but they're being simulated in a cleaner, cheaper, and more optimized manner than what was seen prior. Did you ever go to a science museum as a kid? I'm sure they demonstrated it. What's important here is that absorption and transmission used to have the different frequency band ranges, and now it doesn't. It's been refactored. It's much cleaner. Somebody on Reddit claimed to have met Mike Shapiro, the voice of Barney Calhoun and the G-Man and all the Barneys in Half-Life, at some kind of convention? They probably did, but then, well, I'll just read what they wrote. Quote, "To be honest, he did say something to me when I said I was a big fan and have all games, books, and documentaries watched. He said something like, with a smile, 'Prepare for the Valve opening.' I asked him to explain and he straight up ignored and started asking personal questions. I honestly don't know what he could mean by it. Maybe some leaks or maybe a new game." Yeah, Mike didn't say that. Mike didn't say that. Prepare for the Valve opening? Do you have any idea how many people asked me about this? Mike didn't say that. Spills. Oh, I love this one. C_OP_ game liquid spill. C particle function renderer. Liquid contents, negative for water, positive for oil, 0 for none. Liquid contents field, expiration time, FL expiration time. Attribute for contribution amount, particle field scalar, amount attribute. This is all still surface property related, and it has to do with spilling liquids. How do those spilled liquids react to the environment, and how long do they stay there? Again, this change is not so much a simulation step as it is an optimization step. Specifically, m_FL expiration time is quite self-explanatory. If you spill a bunch of liquid on the ground, how long does the game have to render and simulate it there before despawning it? That's an optimization step. Liquid contents field is obvious. It's just stating, is it an oil, or is it water, or is it nothing? And then amount attribute, how much is there? How much liquid? Is it a gallon? Is it a swimming pool? Is it an eyedropper? Liquid simulation is a really, really big deal in this. The more we do these episodes, the more I'm realizing that there's gonna be some weird physics puzzles when it comes to oil and water and wood and metal and fire. It's gonna be weird and probably really entertaining the first 2 times, but then something that you want to skip the next few times you play. It's like the seesaw puzzle, but for a new generation. Another thing that happened a few days ago is SteamDB identified a change list number for Half-Life 2. What is a change list number? It means that something updated on the backend and SteamDB identified it, and people thought this had something to do with HLX. So change list numbers can happen literally for the smallest of reasons. This doesn't even mean that something is happening for Half-Life 2. It just means that something as small as a tag on the Steam store updated. Now, according to SteamDB, an unknown app ID was also associated with this. As it turns out, this specific change list ID has to do with the fact that a mod updated on Steam and the mod required Half-Life 2. Again, everybody is so doom and gloom when it comes to anything being debunked. It's just normal daily Steam stuff that has happened for the last 20 years. It's fine. The game is still in development. Trust me, if anything negative were to have been told to me, I would tell it to you. There's literally, it's fine, guys. Hit groups, damage kill, and trigger flags that change the behavior on death. Destruction death behavior is a new flag that was found within the latest Counter-Strike update and has nothing to do with Counter-Strike. On death, what should the destructive behavior of a model be? Do not kill, gib, or remove. This, once again, is an optimization thing. The difference between something like Counter-Strike 2 and something like what HLX is trying to do here is, in Counter-Strike 2, when you have a headshot, it kills. It's a multiplier, that's it. You'll ragdoll, that's it. What this is effectively destructible demons from Doom, but it also has extra functionality in terms of how it can be scripted out, where the damage itself, it can be seen as a trigger to have other things occur within the map. It's the ability to be able to not only shoot off parts of the model of the enemy that you're fighting, but it also means you can do that after a kill. Does that make sense? Not only will it be a reactive fight that has a very destructible demon's behavior, but after the enemy is defeated, further damage from other fighting with other enemies can react with the models that are already seen as dead, and that just adds more immersion to the fight itself. And then, of course, you can also just do things after the fact just to experiment with the system. It's just for added realism, but the refactoring that you're seeing here is not an introduction of these functions. Evidence of these functions has existed for 2 years. This, once again, is a tool cleanup. This is taking something that has already existed and making it more usable, not only to the end user, but also making it refactored, cleaner. But then indicates whether to keep any loaded ammo in the weapon on reload. M_B keep loaded ammo. Debug destructible parts radius damage. Will the destroying of certain parts on a model also cause splash damage in a radius around the model? And then science assets. You see this tiny little icon? Yeah, this was new. This was added in the Counter-Strike update. Science assets. Okay, so this is a new icon that is specifically for the tools that Valve uses to denote a group of assets, specifically assets marked science. Completely unknown what that means. People have tried to read into this into saying oh, is Portal 3 in development now? No, that's not what this is. No. Science assets is very interesting. What I think happened here is this is an older asset that somehow snuck its way into the latest Counter-Strike update. Because if this new icon to be able to denote a new group of assets within the tools was created at around the same time the latest Counter-Strike update came out, which was on October 15th, then that means we are not asset locked. That means we're still at a point in this game development where we're still creating a whole bunch of new stuff, and we're not actually as close to the finish line as we originally thought. That doesn't seem to be the case. Here's the big fun part of the video that people are going to spoil. I want people to be able to take this with a grain of salt when dealing with anything that's not backed up by a string leak or something that was found in a data mine or a genuine leak, which rarely happens anymore. When you're just dealing with hearsay, people talking. Even if you want to quantify it as like a verified source or anything along those lines, you still need to take it with a grain of salt. So before I say anything, I just want everybody to like nod in agreement at their computer screens or their phones and just think, look, this is hearsay. It's a rumor. I don't think that the science asset icon represents a different outlook on the timeline of production, because everything we've seen, aside from this one icon, points to the game being at the point where they're just polishing, optimizing, refactoring, getting it ready to be playable and push it to the level that people kind of expect Half-Life 3 to be at. Completely unrelated, but Tears of the Kingdom was finished for a year before it came out so that Nintendo could, polish it and bug test it and optimize it as much as possible. For a game like Half-Life 3, I could imagine Valve taking multiple years to do something like that. However, the current rumor that's going around is that work on the trailer is occurring. When Valve works on a trailer, it's not the same as when a publicly owned AAA studio makes a trailer. When a trailer is being made, it's being announced sometimes over a year before launch. Valve is not doing that. You are going to have the announcement and the launch be very close together, very similar to how Half-Life Alyx handled it. They're not going to be having you wait a really long time. When making trailers for games that are still a ways away, you have to effectively fake what you're showing off and push very specific scripted content to the finish line much earlier than if it were to just be done for the game, so that you have something shippable and showable to the public eye for the trailer. When Valve makes a trailer, they're going to do it very similarly to how they did Half-Life Alyx, where they effectively just kind of started work on the trailer about 2 months before the trailer came out, and then the trailer came out. The current rumor is that the trailer is being worked on. I don't think the science asset icon actually represents the game not being in a optimization refactoring stage, and instead probably just slipped in and has been a thing for a while. Either that, or it's for a project that has nothing to do with HLX, and it seems as if trailer work is occurring. The Steam frame is definitely getting announced soon. Valve has a coffee table book that they announced last year as being shipped this year, the reprint of Raising the Bar with the new chapters added in relation, that have to do with the episodes. But they're definitely going to want to try and sell that book at the same time that everybody is freaking out about a new Half-Life game being made. I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth or hype somebody up for something that might not happen. Let's tentatively get excited for November. Let's mellow out. Let's be very chill about a possible thing happening soon. Maybe. Who knows? Sorry I disappeared for a while. I've been sick. Bad, weird life stuff has happened, and that's just life. That's how it goes. Thank you for being patient with me. Thank you for sticking with me, and thank you for, once again, being a great community and being super excited for the most important video game release of our lifetimes. So if you want to support these videos, get your name in the credits, get to watch them early, check out my Patreon page, link down in the description below. If you want to just hang out, talk, whatever, Discord invite link is also down in the description below. I'll talk to you all later. I'm Tyler McVicker, the Passionate Gamer. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great life. Adios.